Yo, what up, Street Dogs? Eric Kim. So, the turbo thought of the day. No, I have lots of turbo thoughts. Okay, so this thought is about hyper vigor, hyper liveliness, and hyper awakeness, wokeness, whatever you want to call it. So, this is my thought. What is the best thing in life? The best thing in life is to have maximal physical vigor, strength, liveliness, wakefulness, and kind of this overabundant feeling of joy. Now, to me, I think it's actually a physiological thing, and let me just kind of cut to the chase. So things which help me, intermittent fasting, not eating breakfast or lunch, waiting until dinner time so I'm hyper awake during the day. Cold showers when I first wake up, I take a cold shower. If I'm kind of like a little bit sleepy in the middle of the day, I have another cold shower. And before sleeping, I have another cold shower. So, I haven't intentionally taken a warm shower in the last like 5-6 years, and it's been the best thing to become more lively, awake, and I'm sure it helps my immune system or helps me burn fat or something like that. The brown adipose tissue, the BAT as they call it. So also I think it's, okay, so it's so funny that like ADHD or ADD, it's like this pathologized pseudo thing, and honestly I think it's a big rouse to get pharmaceutical companies to make more money selling Ritalin and stuff like that. So I think it's essentially like every single kid is essentially hyperactive, and that's a good thing. Why is that a good thing? Is that kids who are more hyperactive, they just kind of have more fun. They just kind of do more stuff. They kind of run around. Like the best thing you could do to a kid is just kind of leave them alone and leave them to their own devices. So for example, the best thing is, I remember when I was a kid, just my mom taking me to the park, me playing around the park, or just like going exploring as a kid and stuff like that. And so now the problem with modern humans and adults, we're so tethered. We're kind of like golden handcuffs or golden chain and ball, where you can no longer really, society doesn't allow you to become a free spirit. And what is childhood and schooling? Oftentimes, essentially it's the taming of children to make them become more adult-like, which is generally a bad thing. And I also find that, and this is like a very practical life hack, is cold training. I think is actually one of the best things to waken us up. So obviously you don't want to always be cold. It's to me it's kind of an alternate between warm and cold. So I'm lucky enough that our apartment is like constantly like a very lovely 74 degrees, irrespective if it's snowing out, because our apartment condo has the centralized heating thing, which essentially means the whole building is always warm, which is nice. So as a way to counteract that, whenever I go on walks, generally speaking, I like to only wear a t-shirt, and obviously I get cold, but essentially it's, if the ancient Spartans could, survive in cold weather, so can I. And I'm sure somewhere in Russia during the winter times, there's a dude in Siberia eating a snow cone. So being a little bit cold or a little bit painful, or even a lot cold painful, it's okay because it's still bearable as long as you know that you have a warm house to come to. So generally what I'll do is when I'm going on my walks, or out and about on town, shooting these street vlogs, whatever, I'll intentionally actually try to expose myself to intentionally be colder than I should be. And generally speaking nowadays when I wear jackets, it's only when it's about to rain. So I kind of have my raincoat, and so when it's raining, it's good to have a coat because I don't want to get wet. But besides that, I always try to stay a little bit colder, even when it gets like really, really cold. Like I learned this from my friend Takashi, is I wear 2 black merino wool shirts. So I wear 2 shirts in order to keep my core warm. It's almost like having a ghetto vest. Now, what is the usefulness of hyper vigor or hyper liveliness, whatever? So for me, this is what my definition of joy or happiness is that like you could give me a $10 quadrillion, But if every single day I was just kind of like slow, sluggish, didn't have any physical vigor, like it wouldn't be worth anything to me. And so for me, like, what do I personally get delight from? I personally get delight from, you know, physical strength, physical like awakeness, livelihood. This is why I really love coffee. And also like I like physical strength. I like looking at myself in the mirror, seeing my muscles grow, get bigger, get more swole. I love to flex. And even if I could never flex in front of anyone else, I would enjoy to flex for myself. And so I think the biggest mistake that a lot of us make in, you know, life and stuff like that is and this is the problem with philosophy. Philosophy says the soul is immortal, blah blah, and the body could exist independently with the mind and so forth. And so essentially what happens, there's this obsession with the mind and reasoning, and there's little to no respect for the body. Even when I'm reading the ancients, right? Like even Seneca says something like, you know, obviously you want a strong body, but just do the minimum amount of, you know, exercises and as efficiently as a manner in order to cultivate your mind, which is like a pretty good thought, but still, like, I think it should be almost like half and half, right? Like half our efforts are actually spent day working out. So it's crazy. Like let's say the average person works, you know, 8 to 9 to 10 hours a day. What if you could spend half of that time working out? So then the thought of working out 5 to 6 hours a day, it almost seems preposterous by today's modern standards, but maybe that's what makes us more human. And actually, in fact, I would probably make the argument that humans being physical is more important than us being mental. So like, what's the point of us having a brain? The point of us to have a brain is in order for us to move and be physical. So in that sense, the body and the physiology of us being humans is actually far more important than our minds, because our mind is just a reflection of what's going on in our bodies, and therefore if you prioritize the body over everything else, your mind is going to be fine. So even a lot of people with mental problems, I'm starting to be curious. I'm like, I wonder if that's just like physiological problems, because, you know, like even for myself, I could speak for myself. If I'm stuck at home all day, just sitting on the couch all day and not doing nothing, I get really depressed. Why? Because my body is depressed. And people don't talk really about bodily physiological depression. And it's like, you know, I don't know all the chemicals, but lower dopamine, blah, blah. So essentially, I'm the most awake, I'm the most vigorous, I'm the most happy when I'm out like braving the elements of the cold, or, you know, lifting weights or talking to people and engaging in some sort of forms of like social risk as well. And so, yeah, the goal is hyper vigor. So hyper vigor being, you know, now that all the gyms are closed, let's say you're stuck at home, you know, get on your knees and just do as many push-ups as you can in 30 seconds. And then bada bing, bada boom, you're done. Or if you can still go to the park, go to the park, do as many chin-ups as you can in a minute. Other thing you could do is when you're at home, in 30 seconds, try to do as many body weight squats in a minute possible. And if you're stuck at home too, I would say now's your time to start cold training. So start taking cold showers. I think, you know, everyone already knows that warm showers feels good, right? But why not go opposite, where you start taking cold showers? So start taking cold showers, it'll wake you up. Take an ice bath, whatever it may be. And just realize that a lot of our happiness and our vigor is rooted in our bodies. So prioritize the body over the mind, and I think you'll be good.